Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Fringe check, download today. Fringes is a new mobile app designed to meet, mix, and post with Torah keepers like you. That's right. How pleasant is it for brethren to dwell together in unity? Bring it out. Fringes is available on Google Play and the App Store.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I just want to go ahead and extend what you were saying, or just add on to what you were saying, that I accept the challenge. As we all know, if we've been listeners and followers of Debate Talk for You, a couple of weeks back, Brother Josh from ADT had issued a challenge, and he entitled it the Tanakh Only Challenge. Now, let me go ahead and reiterate what the stipulations were, or as far as I understand it. He said that he would like someone that is who is Tanakh only to teach a lesson. The lesson had to, one, not involve the New Testament whatsoever. No scripture references for the New Testament, so no kicking against the New Testament, just don't mention it. Two, no kicking against the Messiah, or who we call, Jesus the Christ or Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay, no mentioning of him at all. And three, no mentioning of a messianic, so a messianic individual. Now, full disclosure, I am messianic. So, I'm not one of the Tanakh only. But what I was waiting for over the last couple of weeks, I was actually waiting to see the lessons that were going to be brought forth and see who was going to accept the challenge. I was just waiting on the sideline just to say, okay, surely someone's going to step up, teach a Tanakh only lesson, and, we're just going to hit the ground running, and that's it. What I think is that there are plenty of Tanakh-only listeners on the line who listen to the show from time to time. I really honestly believe that. I think there's a bunch of them who never hit the one button and they never say anything. They just listen. But what that tells me is that they're ready to be fed information. They're ready to learn. And if they are Tanakh-only, they're looking for someone to teach from the prophets and from Torah. And so my heart kind of goes out to him because I was waiting for that same thing, but I just don't see the lessons there, okay? There may be a smattering here or there, but I don't see the lessons there. So one of the things I'm not going to do today, I'm not going to name anybody. I'm not going to call anybody out. This is not a debate, okay? This will indeed be a lesson, and the title of it is Civil Disobedience. But I bring that up because there's a lot of lessons that could be taught from the law and the prophets. In fact, I'm going to challenge my fellow messianics out there who may be listening. You can call in, hit the number one, and just topic ideas, just suggest topic ideas, because I want the Tanakh only followers, okay? I'm not talking about any of the teachers. I'm just talking about those who just listen on the line. They never press one or anything like that. They just listen. We want them to know there are a lot of topics to talk about in the Old Testament, a ton, and you never have to touch the New Testament, meaning if you're Tanakh only, okay, and if there is a teacher who is Tanakh only, they have material. They have material. But what we've been hearing is those three things: attacks on Messianic. And don't get me wrong, this is a big talk for you. The fighter has been going back and forth, okay? I'm not saying it has not been back and forth, and I want to say that for the record. But, again, I am Messianic. Now, what I'm saying is that when you deal with someone who's Tanakh only, okay, fine. But there's only a handful of things that are on the table. That is the New Testament. The New Testament is fake. The New Testament is no good. The New Testament is Greek. You guys are idolaters. You shouldn't follow the Messiah. Jesus is not the Messiah, and all that. But that's it, okay. But my question still remains: where are the lessons? Are you feeding the people? Okay? Are we feeding the people? Are we teaching them? Are we giving them something? So enough with the back and forth fighting. How about some learning and some teaching? We can go back and forth all day. If you go in the archives, you're going to see Messianics going against non-Messianics or Tanakh only. But my question is this. If you're going to come on the platform, okay, this is my question, okay, and it's rhetorical for the most part. But if you're going to come, to the platform and you don't want to teach a lesson from the law and the prophets, you don't want to teach that, are you Tanakh only or are you anti-New Testament? Because that's a difference. If you're just anti-New Testament, then everything you talk about is just trying to bang on the New Testament. Any chance you get, all I want to do is just bang on the New Testament. That's it. I just want to bang on Yeshua or Christ. I just want to bang on that. I want to bang on Paul. I want to bang on the New Testament. That's it. So there's a difference. Are you Tanakh only? Because if you're Tanakh only, then there's a lot of lessons to be taught in the Tanakh. I just picked one. Okay? I just picked one. I don't know if it was just moved by the Spirit and just say, okay, teach civil disobedience. I just made one up. So my brethren that are out there, even if you're Tanakh only out there, you call in. Suggest a topic that is just from the Tanakh only. Now, I want to also say this before we get started. I may go into the Apocrypha a little bit later. Now, I understand not all Tanakh only followers subscribe to the Apocrypha. I'm aware. I know. Some do, some don't. I know. But I'm going there because I'm just showing that there is a breadth of information to be learned without ever going into the New Testament. So what you will not hear me bring up tonight is I will not bring up the Messiah in this lesson. I will not be bringing up Jesus or Yeshua, none of that. Yahweh, I won't be bringing up this particular figure. And I am Messianic, but I will not be bringing the figure up. I will not reference the New Testament whatsoever. I've already, fully disclosed that I may go to the Apocrypha towards the end, okay? So we just want to see, my point is I want to meet the challenge, okay? I will not bang on a Messianic. Obviously, I'm Messianic. I'm not going to bang on a Messianic, although I've had debates with the Messianic. I'm not going to bang on a Messianic. I'm not going to bang on the New Testament, and I'm not going to bang on the Messiah. I'm not going to talk about that, okay? The point is I want to feed the people. And if I were a Tanakh-only teacher, this is how I would teach. And we're commanded to do so, okay? So let's start first in Jeremiah 3:15 so we can see what we should be doing. And again, this is just the law. All we're dealing with is the law and the prophets. So Jeremiah 3:15, and Brother B, if you can hear me, let the Bible speak. I just want that one verse.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 15. Mm-hmm. And I will give you Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Verse 15. And I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding.
That's all I need. Now look, this is the prophet. These are the prophets. So we're supposed to have pastors feeding people with knowledge and understanding. So we're supposed to be doing this. And if we're talking about the law and the prophet, there's a lot of stuff to talk about in the Old Testament. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that we could be talking about. Okay, I just picked the topic. All right. So one of the things I want to deal with is civil disobedience, because we're, as we all believe that we're living in a fallen world, and sometimes there's going to be a time when your faith is tested, where you are going to have to decide whether or not you are going to obey God or you're going to obey man. I'm not telling people to go out and break laws and be reckless and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying your faith and what you believe is going to be tested one day, and you're going to be at a crossroads, and you're going to have to decide, am I going to obey the Most High, or am I going to obey man because I fear man? Whom do you fear more? That's what it's going to come down to. And the reason I'm teaching is because we all need to be prepared, because that day will come where we will be tested. We may be tested, and it can be a very, very scary thing. So join me and Brother B.A. over in Isaiah chapter 10. Go back one book, Isaiah chapter 10. Okay, so we need to talk about some unjust laws and civil disobedience. So let's see what the Most High says about unjust laws in Isaiah chapter 10, and I just want the first two verses. When you get there, brother, let the Bible speak.
Yes, sir. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless.
All right, got you, brother. I got you right there. Now, we're looking at decree, and I'm looking in there, and it's looking in the Strong, and it's kakat, okay, kakat, right? And I'm going to the last one that has to do with what we're talking about right here. That second definition, it says something decreed, the law to be inscribed, something that makes a law. And in the NIV, which I generally don't read, but in the NIV, what Brother B.A. just read, it reads this way. It says, woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees to deprive the poor of their rights and withhold justice from the oppressed of my people, making widows their prey and robbing the fatherless. Okay? So we're talking about unjust laws and things are just not right. Okay? So we're going to look at that. And then I want to, you know what? I'm going to look up a definition before we go to our next scripture, which is also in Isaiah. But before we go there, I want to go over here and we're going to look up civil disobedience. Okay? And look at the Merriam-Webster. I want to look at that real quick. It says refusal to obey governmental demands or commands, especially as a nonviolent and usually collective means of forcing concessions from the government. Okay, so the civil disobedience, refusal to obey governmental demands or commands, especially as a nonviolent and usually collective means of forcing concessions from the government. There are times, there's been many times, history is replete with us having or demonstrating civil disobedience. One of the things is when you boycott or you picket and things like that, that's a form of civil disobedience or peaceful protest. Now let's go to our next scripture real quick, which is Isaiah 59. Isaiah 59. Okay, and then I'm going to go to, I'm going to have the brother pick it up at verse 14. Isaiah 59, verse 14.
Verse 14. And it reads, and judgment is turned away backward, and justice standeth afar off. For truth is fallen in the street, and equity cannot enter.
Yes. Read on.
Read 15.
Yes, sir.
Yea, truth faileth, and he that departed from evil maketh himself a prey. And the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment.
What the Lord, what the Most High was displeased with was that there's no judgment. So I know we're in America, but, you know, there's unjust laws everywhere. There's a ton of unjust laws everywhere. There's a list of, I took the liberty to look up a list of certain laws that were in the past, okay? There's a couple of laws in the past. There was a Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. That was a law here. Okay, and just to give you just a little taste of, you know, what it was, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, officially known as the Tariff Act of 1930, is one of the many nationalistic laws passed by the United States. Ostensibly, it was created to help protect American businesses and farmers from economic turmoil by raising tariffs on over 20,000 items by as much as 20%. Okay, that did that in desperation. That didn't work out, guys. I'll just let you know. That didn't work out. Just look that up. Okay, the Espionage Act and Sedition Act. Okay, that's it back in 1917 and related to sedition. In 1918, it was passed shortly after the United States entry into World War I. The Espionage Act was created as a compromise between the U.S. with its relative tolerant opinion on freedom of speech and Great Britain, which had passed a massive ban on speech pertaining to national secrets a few years earlier. In short, the act made it a crime for a person to send information that would compromise the country's war effort or aid its enemies. Now, of course, it's not good for you and I to do that, but of course the higher-ups end up doing that all the time. But, you know, if they do something wrong, they punish the guys under them. So it's just there's a bunch of acts, a bunch of laws that are out there that are made for certain people and not made for others. It is just ridiculous. Of course, we know about all these Jim Crow laws. We know about all the things that were put in place to oppress us. We understand about all those things that happened. But we're going to go back to scriptures. I can read a long laundry list of laws, but we're going to go back to scriptures, okay? So let's go on over to Exodus. Let's go over to Exodus. In fact, when we go to Exodus, I want to begin over in chapter 1 of Exodus. And we're going to read a bit of that. We're going to read quite a bit of that.
Yes, sir. Exodus chapter 1. And what verse?
Yes, sir. You go to
Reed?
Exodus chapter 1 and start in chapter 1, brother. So we want to get context. I'm going to read a lot of it because I want context. Go ahead and start in chapter 1. Go ahead. And verse
Yes,
1.
sir. Yes. Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man his house, his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty. And the land was filled with them. Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on.
All right, I want you guys to pay attention. Go ahead. I want you guys to pay attention to this. This is where Pharaoh started getting a little nervous because Israel started to outnumber them, and then, of course, he wanted to devise a scheme. But go ahead, brother. Verse 10.
Yes, sir. Come on. Let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. They made lives bitter. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. With hard bondage, and mortar, and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field, all their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then then she shall live. But the midwives feared God.
Hold on right there. Look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. In verse 15, okay, the brother said, the king of Egypt. Now, this guy, this is the ruler of Egypt. This is the Pharaoh. This is the king of Egypt, okay? What he says goes, okay? He's the rule. He's the ruler of that land, okay? What he says is law. So he said, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives in verse 15, of which the name of one was Shiphrah and the other was Puah. Okay, so we got Shiphrah and Puah. Okay, the king of Egypt told them, he gave them an order. In 16, he said, when you do the office of the midwife, so when you go delivering these babies to the Hebrew women, and you see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him, but if it be a daughter, then she shall live. Okay, so this is an order. Okay, this is a law. This is you should not disobey this. Okay, according to the Egyptian and his king. Okay, according to Pharaoh. You're supposed to do this, or you can get in a whole lot of trouble. Okay, but look at what happened in verse 17. This is an act of civil disobedience. Okay, look at verse 15. Go ahead, brother. 17.
Yes, sir. But the midwives feared God and did not, as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men, children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, Why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men, children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered. The midwives come in unto them. Therefore, God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared God, that he made them houses.
Come on.
And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, Every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter shall save alive.
Okay, so we know Pharaoh is making a charge, and the midwives disobeyed it. So Shifra and Pua was like, nope, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And why did they do it? Because we fear God. We fear God. We fear the Most High more than we fear Pharaoh. So they're like, no, we're not killing these babies. We're not doing that. Doesn't matter what the king says. We're not doing that. Civil disobedience, people. Okay? We live in a society. Look, we live in a society with some very, very wicked laws. Okay, I'll just put it that way. I'm trying to use my words wisely. Some very, very wicked laws. And we can all imagine right now, there's laws out there where same-sex marriages are okay, but the Bible says it's an abominable. So those who are preachers and teachers and those who can perform ceremonies, you're going to stand up and you're going to say, nope, I'm not doing that, or you're going to acquiesce. You see, that's what I'm saying. So there's going to be plenty of laws. I'm talking about civil disobedience here. There's going to be plenty of laws set forth. There's a bunch more, but I just use that as an example. There's going to be plenty of laws that's going to have you put your faith on the line, have you have to decide, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because that's gonna come to pass. What are you going to do? So you got to keep that in mind when that happens. But we're going to go get some more scripture here. Because there's a few laws that are coming up in my head, but I don't want to make it a wholly political lesson. I'm not going to do that. I just want to strengthen and gird you guys up so you guys understand. So Pharaoh dealing with the midwives said, nope, we're not doing that. We're not about to kill all these Hebrew babies. So we're going to keep on going. We know there's some more stories in there. Go to Daniel chapter 3, if you will, brother. Go to Daniel chapter 3. And I'm actually trying to get in contact with Brother Josh so I can see if I actually passed the challenge. I accepted it. I want to see if I passed the challenge, if I met the criteria on that. So I want to get in contact with Brother Josh. And also, like I said, if you got some messianics on the line or whatever, hey, come with your suggestion on topics. Just say, hey, teach about this, that, whatever that comes to mind that can be taught solely from the law and the prophets. Okay, so we're going to go to Daniel chapter 3, and when we get to chapter 3, we're going to pick that one up also in verse 1. We know the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but we're going to look at it again. This is another act of civil disobedience, disobeying the government, okay, in righteousness. Okay, we're talking about we as Israel. We're disobeying the king in righteousness. Okay, so that's what we have to remember. So we're going to look at Daniel chapter 3, okay, because you make some unjust decrees as we're looking at it in Isaiah. The Lord doesn't like it when someone makes an unjust law. Okay, so let's look at Daniel chapter 3, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1 and let the Bible speak, brother.
Yes, sir. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold, whose height was 80 cubits, and wide breadth, therefore 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura and the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes and governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the prophesies to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar, the king, has set up.
Okay, so he has his entire
governors,
cabinet there, brothers and sisters. Everyone is there, his entire cabinet. Like he said the princes, the governors, captains, judges, treasurers, counselors, sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province, okay, to come to the dedication of the image of Nebuchadnezzar, okay? So we got all the rulers. This is his entire cabinet, okay? This is the ruling class right here. There's all his officers in his government. Verse 3, brother, go ahead.
Yep. Then the princes, the governors, and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sack, but psaltery, the cumer, and all kinds of music, ye shall fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up.
Okay,
and
so that's the law, right?
Yep, that's the law.
Go ahead. That's the law, so go ahead.
And who falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace.
Okay, now hold on right there, brother. Hold on right there. Now, you just read we read the command, and you just read the penalty for breaking that command. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. So you said, that at the time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music. This is what you're going to do. You're going to fall down. You're going to, let's see what it says there. It says you're going to fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. So he had that. And then in verse 6, he said, and whosoever falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. So you got the command and you got the penalty for breaking the command. That is a decree. That is a law. So verse 7, brother, if you will.
Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and decumer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worship, that he should be cast in the midst of the burning fiery furnace.
Go ahead.
There are certain Jews who thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and decumer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made well. But if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the fiery furnace. And who is that God shall deliver you out of my hands?
So hold on, brother.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king. I'm sorry. Yep.
Hold on 1 second. No, it's okay. No, hold on 1 second. So we just want to, I just want to set the table, and you did a great job of setting the table. Okay. So now this is Nebuchadnezzar addressing the three Hebrew men, okay? He's addressing Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and he's saying, look, hold on. In verse 14, he spake to them and said, is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? So he's asking them a question and saying, wait. So you're not going to do what this law commands? You're not going to do what I said? That's basically what he's asking. Now he said, all right, I'm going to give you one more shot, okay? He says, okay, now, if you be ready, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye shall fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if you worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace, what we read earlier. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? He says, okay, so you really think your God's going to save you then? Because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. We're going to play this music one more time. You are going to bend down. You're going to bow down. And you're going to serve my God. That's what you're going to do. And your God, you really think your God going to be able to save you? And let's look at how they respond in verse 16. Go ahead, brother.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. Man, that's some faith. But if not,
that's faith,
be it knoweth unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship thy golden image which thou hast set up.
Stop right there.
Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury. You mad now?
Stop right there.
In the form of his visage.
No, let's pause just for a second. Now, look at how they answered. We have to see, we have to ask ourselves, we got to go into that mirror and see if our faith is at this level. We need to test ourselves to see if our faith is at this level. I know all of us went through something in our lives. We all had some struggles. We all had some trials and tribulations in our lives. We haven't had this yet. Has your faith been tested to this level? We haven't had this yet. Okay? It could be coming, but you haven't had this yet. And look at how they did with boldness. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. We're just going to lay it on the line. We're going to tell you like it is. This is what we're doing. Okay? He said, if it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. They told him like it was. But in verse 18 he said, but if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy God, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set. Just told him straight up. We're not doing that. That's not what we're doing. It is not going to happen. We're not going to serve some idol. So the question is for you and I, brothers and sisters, is this where our faith is? This is a blatant, bold, upfront, out front act of civil disobedience. Now, this is done in righteousness because they're saying, hey, we're not going to serve an idol. I don't care what you say. I know, I heard you. I heard you when you said you're going to throw us in the fiery furnace. Well, we heard that, roger that, but it doesn't matter. Oh, and by the way, our God is able to save us, but even if he doesn't, we're still not going to serve an idol. We're still not going to do it. Okay? So you have to ask yourself, is our faith there yet? Okay? Because we need to be working on that in case a day just like this may come our way, in case something like that comes knocking on our door. He said, but if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve the gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Continue in verse 19, brother.
Verse 19. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was wont to be heat. Sorry about that. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hoisins, their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astounded, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast three men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the fourth is like the Son of God.
Come on.
Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire, and the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon whose body the fire had no power, nor was an hair on their heads singed. Neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of the fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's words and yield their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any God except their own God. Therefore, I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speaketh anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Right there. Powerful. Praise God. Praise God. Because they had the courage to stand up to the king, and the Most High rewarded that faith, rewarded that boldness. They said, you know what, we are not going to serve and bow down to an idol, no matter what you do to us. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We still got a lot more. We got a lot more to read. But hey, Sal, is there anybody on the line? Anyone press? I know people on the line. Did anyone press 1 before we go on? Sal, you with us? He might be muted, so we're going to keep going. He might be muted. That's okay. Let's see here. We're going to go on. We're going to keep it going. Keep it going. We're still in Daniel, brother. Go to Daniel chapter 6. Go to Daniel chapter 6. Okay, we got 2 stories out of here dealing with civil disobedience. Let's see here. Daniel chapter 6. Brother B.A., you got any thoughts so far, brother?
No, sir, man. We're strictly reading from the prophets and the law. And most definitely we see that we can go in here and most definitely deliver the word.
Absolutely, and we're gonna keep doing that. We're gonna keep doing that. We got some more. We got a lot more. We're gonna keep doing that. We're gonna stay right here in Tanakh, Daniel chapter 6, and once again, I want to begin at verse 1. Daniel 6 and verse 1. We want to deal with a different king this time. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the prince might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. And this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God.
So they already want him to go against his God. Already they're trying to find a way to conspire to have Daniel go against his God, okay? So they got to make another law so that they can get him caught up, okay? Go ahead, brother, verse 6.
Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Oh boy!
Stop right there. Now he says, all the presidents, so again, you're talking about the government, okay? All the presidents of the kingdom, the presidents, the governors, the princes, the counselors, captains, all of them together. Now, of course, they conspired and they wanted to make a law. They said they wanted to establish a royal statute and a firm decree, okay? So all they did was appeal to the king's Darius' ego. That's all they did, okay? Darius or Darius, they wanted to appeal to his ego and say, hey, look, for 30 days, nobody can pray to any other god, well, except you. They can pray to you. But for 30 days, can't pray to any other god. Okay, so they wanted to. That's where they wanted to trip him. But they saw that Daniel's faith was just unmatched, and so they said, okay, this is going to be the only area we can catch this dude in. So they made a law, and this law obviously goes against worshiping idols and things like that. So this law goes against the law of the Most High, and that's how they wanted to trip him up. Okay, so they said, like the brother just read, firm decree that whosoever shall not ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, verse 8.
Verse 8. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing in the decree. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chambers, toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did before time. He did aforetime. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying, making supplication before his God. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save O thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the captivity of the children of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law is of the Medes and the Persians, is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God whom thou servest, continually he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel.
Okay, now hold on one second. Hold on 1 second. Now, what we saw when we look back a little bit, we saw that all these rulers, these councils, captains, governors, and all that, they came and they wanted to make sure. They wanted to go ahead and make sure and bring to the members of King Darius, and they say, hey, listen, okay, did we not make a law? Did you not decree that nobody can pray to any other god except for you for 30 days? And then, of course, the king answers, like, yeah, that's true. And then they say, okay, well, Daniel broke that law. Okay, so we're talking about civil disobedience, and we can read earlier where Daniel, when he found out about the law, he still went up to his room towards Jerusalem, and he started praying. So he just did it anyway. He was like, look, man, okay, well, regardless of what that says, I'm not doing that. I'm not rocking that where I can't even pray to my own God. I can't even petition my own God. No, I'm not doing that. And I'm certainly not going to pray to the king as my God. I'm certainly not going to do that. But this is where they wanted to trip him up, okay? So he is civilly disobeying what the government is saying, okay? The law of that government said, nope, it's unjust law. It's not right. I'm not going to obey that, okay? And, again, it's peaceful. Me praying does not hurt someone else. You and I praying doesn't hurt someone else, okay? We're just praying to our God. And that's the same thing when we're talking about Daniel. So where we leave off, we left out at verse 15, brother. Yeah, that in 15 he said, then these men assembled unto the king and said unto the king, know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established can be changed. So they wanted to make sure that Daniel pays. Okay, he wanted to make sure that Daniel pays. So they went ahead and got it, and they threw Daniel in there, and it was signed with the king's signet rings and all that. It's ready to go. So Daniel was pretty much sentenced to death. In verse 18, brother, go ahead.
I'm sorry, brother Reed. What you say? Let's say it again.
I was saying verse 18.
All right, let me just read that real quick. I'm sorry about that. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continually able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God has sent his angel and has shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocent was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Then was the king exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out the den. So Daniel was taken up out the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he beloved his God. And the king commanded and brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, their wives. And the lions had the mastery of them, and break all their bones into pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. The king Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is living, for he is the living God, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall even unto and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivered and rescued, and he worked signs and wonders in heaven and the earth, who had delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian.
Come on, brother. See, that's what I'm talking about. That is the Most High God that we serve. That is the mighty one of Jacob that we serve. That is the one, okay? You put him first and foremost. You put him out front. Okay, when we look at Torah, we know the Torah is more than the Ten Commandments, but we know that it's pretty much divided in two ways. Either we learn how to serve God, and we learn how to serve our fellow man. You put God first, and then he is able to bless you. Now, he may bless you here on the earth like he did with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, like he did with Daniel, and like he did with so many of the other prophets, okay? He can bless you right here, right now on the earth. But we know ultimately the hereafter, the new kingdom, that's the ultimate blessing that cannot be taken away, okay? Once we get there, once we enter into that kingdom, it's not going to be taken away. So that's the ultimate one. So if we obey him, put him first, and we display this in civil disobedience to unjust laws, we don't serve wickedness, then we can be pleasing in the eyes of the Most High. Okay? This is just one topic that I was just thinking of just out of nowhere. I'm just like, you know what, let me just accept the challenge. I've never taught civil disobedience before. I hadn't even taught it in my ministry. I hadn't even taught it in that yet. Okay, but I just say, you know what? Let me just what does the Law and the Prophets has to say about whatever topic we're talking about? Okay, hey Sal, you there? Just wanted to double check real quick, because if not, we can keep going. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and keep going. Let's see here, because we got a lot more. Let's go to 1 Kings. 1 Kings. Okay, 1 Kings chapter 16. 1 Kings chapter 16. I want to establish something real quick, and then we'll keep moving forward.
You said 1 Kings chapter 16?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just want to establish something. Yeah.
Kings chapter
Kings,
16.
Yeah. And what we're going to read verse 29 through 34. Okay? We're gonna go 29. Yeah, so 29 through 34. And I am ready when you are, sir. Let the Bible speak.
Yes. In 38 years of Asa, king of Judah, began Ahab, the son of Omri, to reign over Israel, and Ahab, the son of Omri reigned over Israel in Samaria 22 years. And Ahab, the son of Omri, did evil in the sight of the Lord above all that were before him. And it came to pass, as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, that he took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethabal, king of the Zidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. And he reared up an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Samaria. And Ahab made a groove, and Ahab did more to provoke the Lord God of Israel to anger than all the kings of Israel that were before him. In his days did Hillel the Bethelite build Jericho, and he laid the foundation thereof in Abraham, the firstborn, and set up the gates thereof, and the youngest son Segub, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by Joshua the son of Nun.
Okay. Now let's look at this. I wanted to go ahead and set the table because we're going to go another place in 1 Kings. But I wanted to set the table so we can understand who we're dealing with. So I wanted to get the context here. Okay. So we're talking about Ahab, the son of Omri, and I wanted him to get really verse 30. So we wanted to understand that this dude, he ruled Israel. Okay. When you look at 29, it says Asa king of Judah began Ahab, the son of Omri, to reign over Israel. Okay, so he's the ruler over Israel, and Ahab, the son of Omri, reigned over Israel in Samaria 22 years. 22 years. Okay, so if you were an Israelite and you lived over there, Samaria, then obviously this is the government. This is the king. This is the king saying what has to be done. Okay, you do what the king says. He establishes the law, in other words. But in verse 30, it says, and Ahab the son of Omri did evil in the sight of the Lord above all that were before him. So he did bad, and he was worse than most people that came before him. It was terrible. Okay, so we want to look at this. 1 Kings Let's just go up 2 chapters. Go to chapter 18, if you will, brother. Chapter 18.
Chapter 18.
1 Kings chapter
what
18.
verse?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to start at the first verse. I just want to get some context because we're going to be dealing with Elijah, who is another example of civil disobedience. He did not listen to Ahab. He knew Ahab was evil. He knew Ahab was wicked. You know, he knew Ahab was the king too, but he had to civilly disobey whatever Ahab wanted to pass down. He's like, no, we're not doing that. So let's look at it in 1 Kings 18. Pick it up at verse 1, brother.
And it came to pass after many days that the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, Go show thyself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. And Elijah went to show himself unto Ahab, and there was a sore famine in Samaria. And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly, for it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water. And
okay,
Ahab
I want you guys to understand something real quick. One second. I know. I want them to see something right here. You just read 4. I want them to see this. Okay, Ahab called Obadiah. We know Obadiah was righteous. Okay, in verse 3, and he said, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly. I want you guys to see that. Okay, Ahab's the king. Obadiah was serving Ahab, but he feared the Lord greatly. And in verse 4, he said, for it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water. Okay, so look at what we understanding right here. Look at the understanding right here. So we know Elijah disobeyed, King Ahab, and he was disobeying that evil. But also Obadiah, he wasn't supposed to just take 100 prophets and hide them by 100, hide them by 50, feed them bread and water stuff. He wasn't supposed to do that. Civil disobedience again. He was going against the king and definitely going against Jezebel. Verse 5, brother, go ahead.
And Ahab said unto Obadiah, Go into the land unto all fountains of water and unto all brooks. Peradventure we may find grass and save the horses and mules alive, that we least not all the beasts. Not all the beasts. So they divided the land and between them to pass throughout it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. And as Obadiah was in the way, behold, Elijah met him, and he knew, and fell on his face, and said, Art thou that my lord Elijah? And he answered him, I am. Go tell thy lord, behold, Elijah is here. And he said, What have I sinned, that thou wouldest deliver thy servant into the hand of Ahab to slay me? And the Lord thy God liveth, there is no nation or kingdom. Whether my Lord have not sent to seek thee. And when they said, He is not there, he took an oath of the kingdom and nation that they found thee not. And now thou sayest, Go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here. And it shall come to pass, as soon as I am gone from here, that the Spirit of the Lord shall cry thee whither, I know not. And so when I come and tell Ahab, and he cannot find thee, he shall slay me. But I, thy servant, fear the Lord from my youth.
Okay, let me pause this just for a second. Let's pause this for just 1 second. Okay, what he was saying is that, Obadiah met Elijah, obviously, and then Elijah said, go ahead and tell Ahab that I'm here. And Obadiah's like, man, are you trying to get me killed? Because once I go over there and tell him that you're here and he doesn't find you, he's going to kill me. Okay, you're going to have me slayed if he goes to look for you and then you're not here, like I'm playing some kind of trick or something. Okay, go ahead in verse 13, brother.
Was it not told, my Lord, what I did when Jezebel slew the prophets of the Lord, how I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water? And now thou sayest, Go tell the Lord, behold, Elijah is here, and he shall slay me. And Elijah said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him today. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. And it came to pass, when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, Art thou he that troubled Israel? And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, and that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and thou hast followed Baalim. Now therefore, send and gather to me all Israel unto Carmel, to Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the groves 400, which eat at Jezebel's table. So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel, and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Then Elijah said unto the people, I only remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophet are 450 men. But let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it into pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under. And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, Choose you 1 bullock for yourselves, and dress it first, for ye are many, and call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal for morning until noon, saying, Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered, and they leapt upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them, and said, Cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in journey, or peradventure he sleepeth, and must be awakened. And they cried out and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lancers, until the blood gushed out upon them. And it came to pass, when midday was past, let me read that from the top again. And it came to pass, when midday was past, and they prophesied unto the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither voice, nor any to answer, nor any that regardeth. And Elijah said unto the people,
Hold on one second. I want you guys to see what happened, okay? This is amazing right here. I want you guys to see what happened. They got the sacrifices and everything, and they tried hard. When I look back up over at verse 26, okay? And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and they called on the name of Baal from morning until noon. Okay, now you got to understand, morning till noon. When the sun come up until noon, saying, Oh, Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered, and they leaped upon the altar which was made, okay? So they were getting all emotional. They were getting into it, okay? And then when it came to pass at noon, now it's noontime, that Elijah mocked them. Okay, now, guys, this can be from 6 in the morning till noon. It can be 6 hours. It can be 4, 5, 6 hours, okay, of them carrying on, okay? And Elijah started mocking them. He said, cry aloud, for he is a God, isn't he? So he said, like, hey, scream louder. Maybe he can't hear you, okay? Either he is talking or he is pursuing. Maybe he's talking to someone. Maybe he's on Facebook, something. Maybe he's doing something else, okay? He's a little bit busy. So he started to mock them. He said maybe he's on the journey. Maybe he left, okay? So this God that you guys are serving, he's not omnipresent, all-knowing. Something's wrong with this guy. He's not saying anything. Or perhaps a peradventure, he's asleep. Maybe he's asleep. Maybe you got to be louder so you can wake him up. Okay? And then they cried aloud. They went even louder. And guess what else they wanted to do? They cut themselves after their manner with knives and lances till the blood gushed out upon them. And like the brother read in 29, he said, and it came to pass when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither voice nor any to answer, nor any that regard us. Nobody was paying any attention to them. Now, remember, this is starting to go into the evening. Midday was past, and still no answer from the prophets of Baal. And we got to keep in mind Elijah is going against all these elders and prophets of Baal, okay? Over 400, okay? So he's standing up against the government at the time, okay? This is Ahab's kingdom at this time. And Ahab, he did evil in the sight of God, okay? So he did that, and nothing happened, okay? As far as the prophets of Baal, they did all this jumping around, hooting, hollering, crying, cutting themselves, and all that. Nothing happened. And Elijah boldly is standing up in civil disobedience. Now let's continue. What you had down there? You said verse 30.
Verse 30.
Verse 30. Go ahead, brother.
And Elijah said unto all the people, Come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him. And he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. And Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be thy name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he made a trench about the altar, and great as would contain 2 measures of seed. And he put the wood in order, and cut the bullocks in pieces, and laid him on the wood, and said, Fill 4 barrels with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. And he said, Do it the second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, Do it the third time. And they did it the third time. And the water ran round about the altar, and he filled with the trench also with water. And it came to pass the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that thou art God in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Lord. Hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord God, and that thou hast turned their hearts back again. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stone, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, The Lord is a God, and the Lord is the God, and the Lord is the God. The Lord, He is God. Well, that. And Elijah said unto them, Take the prophets of Baal. I'll stop at 40.
Yeah, read 40, and we're going to finish at 40, yeah.
Okay. And Elijah said unto them, Take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they took them, and Elijah brought them down to Brook Kishon, and slew them there.
All right. There you go. Right there. You there, Sal? All right, I'd like to just check in and see if he's there. I don't know if we lost him or not, but
can you hear me, guys? Can you hear me? My mic is backing up. Yeah, sorry about that. Technical difficulties, couldn't get in microphone, but I'm here. I'm here now.
That's all right. All right. Do we have anybody press 1, Sal?
I see people listening to the show. Family, once again, you know the number, 319-527-6239. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to press number 1. And we'll add you in the conversation. Send me an email, debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. That's debatetalk to number 4 and the letter U@gmail.com. This is your time, family. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to press number 1 and we'll let you chime in. But nobody's pressing 1 at this time, so you can continue.
Okay, no problem. No problem at all. All right, so we're looking at Elijah going up against Ahab. In this story, we got 2 acts of civil disobedience. We saw earlier where Obadiah is obviously going against Jezebel and Ahab, where he is hiding prophets of the Most High, hiding them in caves and giving them bread and water and stuff like that. Why? Because he fears God. Okay, so he does it to fear God. He's not going to just put innocent people to death for no doggone reason. Sorry, I know Ahab was a king of Israel, but guess what? He had some wicked ways and unjust laws, and no, we're just not going to do it. He's erecting monuments and building high places, I should say, building high places to Baal. No, we're not having that. So Elijah was not having no part of that. He was civilly disobedient. Obadiah was trying to serve the king, but at the same time, he's like, well, I'm not going to be, putting, the prophets of the Most High to death like that. And so Elijah is standing up to King Ahab. Civil disobedience. In one story, we're looking at 2 acts of civil disobedience. Okay, this happens all the time. It's all over in the Law and the Prophets. Okay, it's all over there. Okay, so that's not the only topic we can touch on. I'm gonna touch on Amos. If we go to Amos chapter 7, well, Amos he was not supposed to prophesy at that time. Okay, he was commanded, okay, don't come over here prophesying with all that mess. But Amos said, I'm going to prophesy anyway. So let's go on over to Amos. All right. Now remember, for those who are listening, this is the Tanakh only challenge. Okay, and I decided to accept the challenge because I say, you know what, teach a lesson from the Law and the Prophets. I can do that and not deal with the New Testament, not deal with the Messiah, not call out, a messianic or anything like that. Of course, the last one is real easy because I'm messianic. But at the same time, in my opinion, it's a simple challenge. Now it's up to Josh. He can just tell me whether I got it right or wrong. But it's a simple challenge. The way I understand it is don't bring up a messianic, don't bring up the New Testament, don't bring up the Messiah. So if I'm missing something, please, someone press 1 and let me know if I'm actually missing something here, okay? Because I feel like there's some people out there who are Tanakh only, and I think that they deserve to be fed as well. I think they are part of the flock of Israel, and I think that they should be fed as well, with knowledge and understanding, like we read in Jeremiah 3:15, okay? If we're going to call ourselves teachers, then guess what we need to do? Teach. It's real simple, okay? Not very complicated to understand whatsoever. So I aim to teach just that. Again, we're continuing with this lesson, which is called Civil Disobedience, and we're going to pick it up in Amos chapter 7, and we are starting at verse 1 a lot, brothers. So we're going to start at verse 1. Let's take a look at the prophet Amos real quick. Amos, verse 1. I'm ready when you are. Let the Bible speak, brother.
Thus hath the Lord God showed unto me, behold, the former, grasshoppers in the beginning of the shooting up of the latter growth. And lo, it was the latter growth after the king's mowings. And it came to pass that when they had made an end of eating the grass of the land, then I said, O Lord, God forgive, I beseech thee, by whom shall Jacob arise? For he is small. Verse 3. The Lord repented for this, it shall not be, saith the Lord. Thus hath the Lord God showed unto me, and behold, the Lord God called to contend by fire, and it devoured the great heap, and did eat up a part. Then said I, O Lord God, cease, I beseech thee. By whom shall Jacob rise? For he is small. The Lord repented for this. This also shall not be, saith the Lord God. Thus he showeth me, and behold, the Lord stood up a wall made by a plumb line, with a plumb line in his hand. And the Lord said unto me, Amos, what seest thou? And I saith, a plumb line. Then saith the Lord, behold, I will set a plumb line in the midst of my people, Israel. I will not again pass by them any more. And the high places of Isaac shall be desolate, and the sanctuaries of Israel shall be laid waste. I will rise against the house of Jeroboam with the sword. And Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, sent to Jeroboam, king of Israel, saying, Amos hath conspired against thee in the midst of the house of Israel, and the land is not able to bear all his words. For thus Amos said, Jeroboam shall die by the sword, and Israel shall surely be led away captive out of their own land. Also Amaziah said unto Amos, O thou seer, go flee thee way into the land of Judah, and there eat bread and prophesy there. But prophesy not again any more at Bethel, for it is the king's chapel, and it is the king of courts.
So Amaziah was saying unto Amos, and he was saying, look, and he said he acknowledged him as a seer. He acknowledged Amos as a seer, as a prophet. And he was just like, look, just go away to the land of Judah. Go prophesy there. Go eat bread there and prophesy there. But over here, right here, this is the king's court. This is the king's court. Don't do it over here. Okay, he said, but prophesy not again anymore in Bethel. Over in Bethel, no, don't do that, because the king don't want him to do that. The king's going to kill you if you do that, okay? But again, civil disobedience, okay? So in 13 he said, but prophesy not again anymore in Bethel, for it is the king's chapel and it is the king's court, okay? But how did Amos answer this question in verse 14?
Verse 14.
Or answer this charge, I should say. Yeah, answer this charge. No, it wasn't a question. Go ahead.
Then answered Amos and said to Amaziah, I was no prophet, neither was I a prophet's son, but I was a herdsman and a gatherer of a sycamore fruit. And the Lord took me as I followed the flock. And the Lord said unto me, Go prophesy unto my people Israel. Now therefore hear the word of the Lord. Thou sayest, Prophesy not again, Israel, and drop not thy word against the house of Isaac. Therefore thus saith the Lord, Thy wife shall be an harlot in the city, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword, and thy land shall be divided by line, and thou shalt die in the polluted land, and Israel shall surely go into captivity forth of his land.
So he told them anyway. He prophesied anyway. He was told, Amaziah said, don't prophesy, but he prophesied anyway. He had to. He had to. Why? Because he greatly feared the Most High. Again, civil disobedience. Telling you, hey, don't do this because the king, because this could get you killed. It doesn't matter. He said, the Lord took me, and he said, this is what you're going to do. So how many of us can witness to that? Sometimes it's just we have to do what we got to do. We got to understand and look at the big picture. Are we going to fear man? Are we going to fear government? Okay? Are we going to fear the king, or we're going to follow the Most High? Brother B.A., you got some thoughts on it so far?
I always like to say real quick, if you don't mind, Brother Reed, from what we're reading in the prophets, we understand the prophets, I would say, from what I've picked up over the years, I've read and studied, we're looking at Amos. He was an activist, and he spoke out against oppression. And so this is one thing that I study on my own. I read a lot of political and philosophy, like I study revolutions throughout I study empires, the rise and fall of various empires, and how they oppress many people, and how various individuals throughout time, they come out and they speak against oppression. I read a lot of material like Karl Marx, Vladimir Lenin. They critique empires and the study and the science of systematic rules of oppression and economics as well. So the prophets, man, they were pretty much, from what I read in the scriptures, the first social activists that we have on record. And I see Amos and Isaiah, even Elijah. He stood up against the powers that be, that he understood to be the authorities in this day, and he chose his God. And we serve a God of justice, and the prophets had to be men of justice because their God was all about justice, or our God, rather.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, talk about it. That's what we're talking about. I think it's a valuable lesson in there. When you stand up for what we believe in, and what we believe in, we believe in, the Most High, His law, statutes, and commandments and stuff. And sometimes that's going to be, that's going to be tested. And one day we may be shaken to our core, and we're going to have to decide. We're going to have to decide. So no, that was actually good information. Good information. We want all this information, to edify the people. So no, I appreciate that. Is there anything else you wanted to add, brother, before we move on?
Oh, no, sir, man. No, sir.
All right, I appreciate it, man. We're going to keep going. We still got a few more places we can go to. Let's go over to Joshua.
Just to let you know, Rob, you do have someone standing by whenever you get a chance.
We do. All right, you know what? We can let them on right now. Sal, go ahead.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. 832-890, you're live.
Shalom, Brother Robert. Shalom, Brother
Shalom.
B.A.
Shalom.
Shalom, Sal. How are you guys doing this evening?
Greetings.
First of all, I just wanted to say, Pastor Robert, you are doing an excellent job teaching this lesson. Based on lessons I've heard in the past, this lesson, the methodology that you're using to teach it is not very different. It's not different at all from other lessons that I've heard. The only difference is that you are strictly reading from the Old Testament, which was the challenge. Brother Josh issued the challenge for a Tanakh only lesson. And the point I really want to make is that I'm actually surprised and a little bit shocked that it took a Messianic pastor to accept this challenge. And I'm wondering, where are all these Tanakh only brothers that claim to know so much, but yet they could not accept this challenge?
I can't answer that question. I can't say. I don't know.
It was more rhetorical than anything else, because I know there are some Tanakh only brothers out there listening, and I'm hoping that some of them, somebody presses that one and chimes in. But even if they don't, you're doing a really good job. Keep up the good work. Brother B.A., you're doing a good job. Keep up the good work. Sal, as usual, your show is on point. And I'm going to hang up and keep listening, and you're doing marvelously.
Thank you. Shalom.
Thank you, sister. Appreciate your words.
Yeah, we appreciate your call. All right, family. Once again, the number is 319-527-6239. We're going to the phone lines, family. We're going to the phone lines. Let your voice be heard. If I ever hold your peace. Let's go to Skype call. You're live.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, fellas. Shabbat Shalom. This Anonymous Hebrew. How y'all
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, what's going on, Art?
Hey, man. I will let you know, first off, Brother Robert, this is an excellent lesson, right? The concept of righteous disobedience or civil disobedience against those that are telling us to go against the law is a staple throughout Tanakh, right? So the fact that we haven't heard this lesson, to me, kind of seems strange. But other than that, I echo the sentiments brought by the sister earlier. I won't repeat them because I'm not trying to stir up strife. But I will say I'm very encouraged and excited by the challenge and by the fact that I see you bringing it forth, by the fact that I see Brother B.A. doing an excellent job reading. And it is incredible to be fed tonight strictly from the Tanakh. So I'm excited. Excellent lesson, brother. And like I said, this is a staple. So just to not reteach or repreach any lesson, this is something that I would like plead for our brothers and sisters to go back and listen to, because what Pastor Reed was bringing forth is that eventually this will be something that you may find yourself involved with. And so to be able to glean from our forefathers from the past and to learn from that and to gird yourself up and be ready for that situation. Excellent lesson, brother. Excellent lesson. Continue. Hallelujah. All praise the Most High. Shabbat Shalom.
Hallelujah,
Shalom,
brother. Thank you. Shalom, Mark. I appreciate you joining in. And that's the reason. That's the reason why I wanted to teach you, because I feel like that something like this may come across our path. I don't think that the Most High will put something in His scriptures for just no reason at all. It's for our edification. It's for our warning. It's for us to it's for us to realize that what, one day we may have to stand up for righteousness and go against, any government, any king that forces us to go against our God. We're going to have to make a decision. So that's why I wanted to do that, so people can kind of, gird themselves up, as you were saying. But do you have anything to add, Brother B.A.?
No, sir. No, sir.
All right. Sal, that's the end of the phone calls for right now, Sal?
Yeah, that's the end of anybody pressing number 1. We have listeners that checking out the show, though. But anybody else that pressed number 1, I'll let you know.
All right, no problem. And I still got a few more. Let's go to Joshua chapter 2, if you will. Okay, let's take a look at Rahab real quick, because she had an act of civil disobedience as well. Okay, she went against her government as well. Let's start at verse 1. Joshua chapter 2, verse 1. And when you get there, brother, let the Bible speak.
Joshua chapter 2 and verse 1. And Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim two men to spy secretly, saying, Go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into the harlot's house named Rahab, and lodged there. And it was told to the king of Jericho, saying, Behold, there came men hither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the country. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, Bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thy house, for they become to search out all the country. To search out all the country, I'm sorry. And the woman took the two men and hid them, and said thus, There came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. And it came to pass about the time of shutting of the gate, when it was dark, and the man went out. Whither the man went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for he shall overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof of the house, and hid them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords. And as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up upon them upon the roof. And she said unto the men, I know that the Lord had given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For ye have heard how.
That's it right there, brother. No, you did it, brother. You did it right there. I hope everybody understand this. Okay, this is the land that Joshua and the Israelites were supposed to take. Now, Rahab was a citizen of this land, okay, and she hid them, okay. That, of course, that's like treason, okay. That's like treason. But she went against her government. She disobeyed her government. She went against them. That's like treason, okay. And she hid the spies so that the people who were after them would not find it. And she's like, look, I know the Lord gave you this land, so, that's why she helped them there. You know what I'm saying? The men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords, and as soon as they which pursued after them, they were going out, they shut the gate. And then in verse 8 he said, and before they were laid down, she came up unto them unto the roof, and she said unto them, I know that the Lord has given you the land, and that your terror will fall upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. Okay? So she went against her government because Joshua and the Israelites were coming to take over. She went against her government. So it doesn't end. It is all over the place. If you guys notice, we've gone, where we going? We've gone Isaiah, Exodus, Daniel, Kings, Amos, Joshua, and now we're going to go into 1 Samuel. We are all over this. We're going to look at a story over in 1 Samuel chapter 14. Well, Israel, okay, this is the time where Saul was the ruler. Okay, this is the time of our first king, of Israel's first king. And we're going to take a look at something that went a little bit left. Okay, so 1 Samuel chapter 14 and verse 24.
Verse 24.
14, verse 24.
And the men of Israel were distressed that day, For Saul had, adjured the people.
Adjured the people,
Adjured the people, saying, Cursed be the man that eateth any food until evening, that I may be avenged on my enemies. So none of the people tasted any food. And all they of the land came to a wood, and there was honey upon the ground. And when the people come into the wood, behold, the honey dropped, but no man put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan heard not when his father charged the people with the oath. Wherefore he put forth the end of the rod that was in his hand, and dipped it in the honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes were enlightened. Then
Hold on. 1 second. I want everybody to see what happened here, okay? We're talking about the men of Israel, and we're talking about Saul, who was the first king. We have to understand that Jonathan was his son, okay? And he put a curse. He did a decree. He did a curse. This is the king. What the king says is law. And he says, cursed be any man that eateth any food until evening. So he commanded no one to eat, okay, which I think was foolish law. You got your soldiers in there, and they're weak and they're hungry, but you don't want them to eat. That it may be avenged of my enemies, okay? So he said, you'll eat. I guess he was trying to use it as a motivation. You guys will eat as soon as we kill my enemies. So none of the people tasted any food. And all day of the land came to the wood where they was honey upon the ground. Now, the problem was, people, Jonathan did not hear his father's decree. He didn't hear no such command. And of course, somebody's gonna come and tell him. But at the time when he did not hear no such command. In 26, he said, and when the people were coming to the wood, behold, the honey dropped, but no man put his hand to his mouth. I mean, no one tasted it, for they feared the oath. Okay, they feared the king, but his son, 27. But Jonathan heard not when his father charged the people with the oath. Wherefore he put the end of the rod that was in his hand and dipped it in the honeycomb and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes were light. So he felt better. He's like, hey, man, this is going to give you some strength, give you a little pep, And in verse 28, go ahead, brother.
Then answered one of the people and said, Thy father straightly charged the people with an oath, saying, Cursed be the man that eateth any food this day. And the people were faint. Then said Jonathan, My father had troubled the land. See, I pray you, how my eyes have been enlightened, because I tasted a little of this honey. How much more if haply the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies which they found? For had there not now a much greater slaughter amongst the Philistines? You're asking the question. And they smote the Philistines that day from Mishma and Elion. That's if I pronounce that right. And the people were very faint. And the people flew open the spoil and took sheep and oxen and calves and slew them on the ground. And the people did eat them. And the people did eat them with the blood. Then said Saul, saying, Behold, the people sin against the Lord, and that they eat with the blood. And said, Ye have transgressed. Row a great stone unto me this day. And Saul said, Disperse yourselves among the people, and say unto them, Bring me hither every man his ox, and every man his sheep, and slay them here, and eat, and sin not against the Lord, and eating with the blood. And all the people brought every man his ox with him that night, and slew them there. And Saul built an altar unto the Lord, and the same was the first altar that he built unto the Lord. And Saul said, Let us go down after the Philistines by night, and spoil them until the morning light, and let us not leave a man of them. And they said, Do whatever seemeth good unto thee. Then said the priest, Let us draw near hither unto God. And Saul asked counsel of God, Shall I go down after the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into the hand of Israel? But he answered him not that day. And Saul said, Draw ye near his... Stop there.
No, come on. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. And Saul said, Draw ye near hither, and all the chief of the people, and know ye see. I'm saying, know and see, wherein this sin has been this day. For the Lord liveth saved, saved Israel, though it be Jonathan my son, he shall surely die. But there was not a man among the people that answered him. Then said
Pause
unto
right there.
all
Hold
of
on one
Israel.
second. Hold on one second. See, okay, so this is Saul talking, okay, and he's pretty much like praying to God. He was trying to get counsel from the Most High, and he basically about to keep his oath. He's about to kill his son. Okay, that's what he's thinking about. This is his word. Remember, what the king says is law. Okay, whatever he says goes. So he's about to kill his son. He said, "For as the Lord liveth, which saved Israel, though it be in Jonathan my son," even though Jonathan did a great thing. If we read early in the chapter, Jonathan actually had a victory for Israel. He shall surely die. Okay, he shall surely die. But there was not a man among all the people that answered. So nobody didn't want to say anything. Okay, because Saul was about to put his own son to death. But what happened in verse 40? Go ahead.
Verse 40. Then said unto all Israel, Be ye on one side, and I, Jonathan, my son, will be on the other side. And the people said unto Saul, Do what seemed good unto thee. Therefore Saul said unto the Lord God of Israel, Give a perfect lot. And Saul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. Saul said, Cast lots between me. Let me see. Cast lots between me. Hold on. I'm sorry. Between me and Jonathan, my son. And Jonathan was taken. Then Saul said to Jonathan, Tell me what thou hast done. And Jonathan told him and said, I did but taste a little honey with the end of the rod that was in my hand, and lo, I must die. And Saul answered, God do so and more also, for thou shalt surely die, Jonathan. And the people said unto Saul, Shall Jonathan die, who have wrought this great salvation in Israel? God forbid. As the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of his head fall to the ground, for he hath wrought with God this day. So the people received Jonathan, that he died not. Then Saul
Stop right there. That's what I wanted to get. There's your civil disobedience. Did not King Saul lay a decree? Did not King Saul put forth a decree? Anybody eat anything until until he has his enemies delivered into his hand. If anybody eats anything before this evening, they are going to die. So he was trying to put his son to death. And what did they say in verse 45? He said, The people said unto Saul, Shall Jonathan die, who had wrought this great salvation in Israel? If you read early in the chapter, Jonathan had a victory, for Israel. God forbid. In other words, no. As the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair on his head fall to the ground. This is disobeying the king, Saul. Saul said, hey, he's got to go. He's got to die. Y'all heard the decree. Y'all heard the oath. He's got to die. And he said, nope, not one hair on his head is going to hit the ground. For he had wrought with God this day. Okay, so he's done something for God this day. So the people rescued Jonathan that he dieth not. Another act of civil disobedience. Okay? Another act of civil disobedience. Okay? Israel refused to kill Jonathan that day. I hope you guys caught that. Okay? I hope you guys caught that. All right? Now, before we move on, Brother B.A., do you have anything to add before we move on?
No, sir.
All right, no problem. So let's go on over. We got a few more. Let's go on over to 2 Kings. Okay, I want to look at Athaliah, the daughter of Ahab. Something similar. She did something similar to Obadiah. Okay, so 2 Kings chapter 11. Okay, and all I want are 3 verses. That's all I want, 3 verses. 2 Kings chapter 11, verses 1 through 3. That's all I want.
2 Kings chapter 11, verse
1 through 3.
Where's 1? Okay, I'm sorry about that. That was my daughter. Sorry about that.
Okay.
And when Athaliah, the mother of Azariah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed of the seed royal. But Josheba, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king's sons which were slain, and they hid him with his nurse in the bed chambers from Athaliah, so that he was not slain. And he was with her, hid in the house of the Lord 6 years, and Athaliah did reign over the land.
Okay, so that's all we want right there. Look at what happened. Okay, we see that Jehosheba, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash. Okay, took Joash and hid him. Why? Because the whole royal seed. When you look in verse 1, she arose. Okay, Athaliah arose so she can destroy the royal seed. Okay, this is out of Israel. Okay, she was going to destroy the royal seed, and what Jehosheba said, nope, not happening. Took one of the king's sons so that the royal line did not end that day. Okay, that's another act of civil disobedience. Like, no, we're not doing that. So to save that, to preserve the royal seed, to preserve the lineage. So she did something that she was not supposed to do. She's supposed to let all the seed die, but she just said, no, we're not going to do that. So what they did is they hid the king's son. They hid him and his nurse in the bedchamber from Athaliah so that he was not slain. In verse 3, he said, and he was with her hid in the house of the Lord 6 years. And Athaliah did reign over the land. And Athaliah was this real evil queen in Judah, a queen in Judah. But again, sister went against that, like, no, we are not doing that. No way. Okay, we're not doing that. Like I said, in American history, you got a lot of, there's other acts that are unjust. You know, they had the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. You guys look that up. You had that. Of course, you guys heard of the Patriot Act. Look that up. Okay, they had the Black Codes. Okay, collection of laws passed throughout a number of southern states, say the 1865, 1866. Okay. And it can be seen as a precursor to the Jim Crow laws. See, we already know about the Jim Crow laws, but there were a bunch of precursors to that. Okay, and we're all familiar with that. A lot of unjust laws. Okay, that's where you have all these, civil rights, activists, and you have this uprising of the people because people don't want to be crushed under injustice. And that's what happened to many civilizations, and it happened to us in Israel. It happened to us, but no. When the wicked rule, the people suffer. When the wicked rule, people suffer. And there will be an uprising. There will be an insurrection sooner or later if it goes on unchecked for too long. Okay, there's other ones. Alien Seditions Act. Look that up. You have the Alien Seditions Act that occurred, shortly after the American Revolution. A bunch of unjust laws. The Indian Removal Act, okay? We know about that. You're talking about the Native Americans, okay? The Indian Removal Act. There's so many things out there just unjust and ridiculous. But I charge you, Israel, have the courage for when the time comes where you are going to have to stand up for the Most High. And it may be just a few. It may be only you, or it may be just a few. But we are going to be charged. We say we believe. We are going to be tested. It's going to happen. Now, like I said earlier when we first started, I realized that not everyone who say that there are Tanakh only, not everyone goes to or use or subscribe to the Apocrypha. But today we're going to go ahead and read from the Apocrypha. If we can go there, brother. I want to go to Apocrypha in chapter 6. Let me go to chapter 6. Let me get
what book in the Apocrypha?
I'm sorry. 2 Maccabees. I didn't say the book. I was just assuming there. So 2 Maccabees chapter 6.
All right. 2 Maccabees chapter 6. Oh yeah, I'm pretty familiar with this one. All right.
2 Maccabees chapter 6, and if we are there, we're going to pick that one up at verse 1.
All right.
We're going to do verse 1. Go ahead, brother.
Yep. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers, and not to live after the laws of God, and to pollute the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter in Olympus, and that Garzarium of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwell in the place. The coming and the mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reviling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that, brought in things that were not lawful. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. In the day of the king's birth every month, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus, carry ivy. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifice. Would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles, should be put to death, that might a man have seen the present misery. For there were two women brought who had circumcised their children, whom they had openly led round about the city, the babes hanging at their breasts. They cast them down headlong from the wall. And others had run together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day, secretly being discovered to Philip. Were all burnt together, because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. I beseech those that read this book that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastising of our nation. For it is a token of this great goodness, when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. For not as with other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbeareth to punish, till they become to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us. Lest that being come to the height of sin, afterwards he should take vengeance of us. And therefore he never withdraweth his mercy from us. And though he punish with adversity, yet doeth never forsaketh his people. But let that we have spoken be for a warning unto us. And now will we come to the declaring of the matter of a few words.
Come on, now let's talk about Eleazer. Go ahead. Let's talk about Eleazer. I want to get to this.
One of the principal scribes, an aged man, and of a well-favored conscience, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. But he choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spitted forth, and came of his own accord to the torment. And beloved, and as it behooved him to come, that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful, for love of life to be tasted. Right? But they that had the charge of the wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make it as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king, that in doing so he might and that in so doing he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. But he began to consider discreetly, and as become his age and excellency and excellence of his ancient years, and honor of his gray head, whereunto he was come in his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by God. Therefore he answered accordingly, and willed them straightways to send him to the grave. For it becometh not our age, said he, and anywise to disassemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazer, being 80 years old, and 10 were now gone to a strange religion. So they thought my hypocrisy, and desire to live a little time and a moment longer, should be deceived by me, and I get a stain to my old age, and make it abominable. For the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men, yet should I escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead. Whether now painfully changing this life, I will show myself such as one as my age requireth, and leave a notable example to such be young, to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. When he had said these words, immediately he went to the torment. They that led him, changing the goodwill, they bear him a little before into hatred, because he foresaid speeches, proceeding as they thought from a desperate mind. Right. But when he was ready to die with stripes, and he groaned, and said, it is manifest unto the Lord that hath the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in body by being beaten, but in soul am well content to suffer these things, because I fear him. And thus this man hath living his age for an example of a noble courage and memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation.
Amen, 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 and praise Yah. I hope you guys heard that. Okay, that's basically 2 Maccabees chapter 6. We pretty much read the whole thing, and we're looking at a man, Eleazer, who again through civil disobedience, like, look, I'm not doing that. Now we know this is when the Grecians were in control. Okay, and I hope this doesn't count as New Testament. This is when the Grecians are in control in the Apocrypha. Okay, and so he's like, look, you know what? I'm not going to do this. And they wanted to even have him to pretend. He said, we're going to give you some meat that is lawful, but we're going to pretend like, it's not lawful, and you eat it. That way we don't have to kill you. And he's like, no, I'm not going to even pretend. I'm not going to do that, because I lived this whole life by this law, and I love this law, and I fear God. I lived this whole life, and people have been following me and looking at me, and all of a sudden, just so I can live a little bit longer, you want me to pretend? And then put a stain on my name, a stain on my old age, make myself abominable? No, I'm not doing it. Go ahead and do what you have to do. Beat me. Do what you have to do. Now, we could go to 2 Maccabees chapter 7 and read the mother and the sons, but we're not going to do that. We're going to bring, this lesson to a close, But that's civil disobedience. Again, this is when the Grecians were in rule. This is when they were in control. This was when they were running things. We understand about the Maccabean revolt. We understand about Judas Maccabees and stuff for those who, subscribe to the Apocrypha and stuff. But again, a civil disobedience. When they wanted to take back the temple, civil disobedience. Okay? They were under occupation. They were under Greek rule. And they're like, no, we're not having this. We're not going to have you make the temple abominable. And in this case with Eleazer, he wasn't going to make himself abominable. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to even pretend like I'm going to eat this pork. And I've been telling all these people all my life, don't eat that. Keep this dietary law. And all of a sudden, towards the end of my life, we read in other places, Eleazer are about 90 years old. All my life, I'm telling them to, obey God and respect these law, statutes, and commandments. And just so I can live a little bit longer, pretend to eat something abominable? No, I don't think so. I'll just go ahead and die. Because that's the secret, brothers and sisters. The secret is loving the Most High and fearing Him more than fearing anything that man can do for you. And so, again, in case I was failed the test, and since Josh is the one who issued it or whatever, hey, let me know. Let me know if we passed it. Okay, let me know if we were able to teach a whole lesson. We went 2 hours talking about civil disobedience and did not go to the New Testament, did not bring up any Messiah whatsoever, and hopefully we have fed the flock. Is there anybody on the line, Sal, before we go ahead and close it out?
All right, family. Once again, we go into the phone lines. The number is 319-527-6239. That's 319-527-6239. If you got a question or comment, press number 1. We'll add you in the conversation. Yep, we got Skype caller. You are live. Skype caller, you are live. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
All right. Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, this is Brother Josh. How you doing, RT?
How you doing, Brother Josh?
Hey, I'm good, man. How you doing, BA? You doing okay, BA?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on, Brother Josh? Much love to you, my man.
Oh,
good to hear from you.
Man. Praise God. Hallelujah. I'm listening as you ask the question. You don't know if I'm listening, but I have to say that you passed the Tanakh only challenge. Both of you did. Now, before I elaborate, let me just tell you why. You didn't try to disguise it as a peer review. You didn't make the show about me, and you made it a lesson just like I asked. I don't understand why Imuna and Mariana couldn't do this. This is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what I asked for. You didn't have to do this. You decided to take the challenge. You didn't have to subject yourself to anything I challenged you to do. Either one of you did. It's just a challenge to teach the Tanakh, a simple lesson that has nothing to do with the New Testament, nothing to do with Jesus, nothing to do with Messianic. Just a lesson from the Tanakh, teaching a specific topic without attacking or bashing another belief system or system rooted on Jesus. Now, a lot of y'all listening in may be wondering, well, what was the point of this? I mean, Robert Reed is Messianic and the A is Messianic. What is the point of this? Well, two things. Number one, we're trying to show these Tanakh only Hebrews that we don't need you. Because what your job is supposed to be, first and foremost, is to teach the Tanakh. And the one thing we ask you to do, which most Tanakh only Hebrews should not have a problem with, is teach us the Tanakh. That's supposed to be your first priority. Everything else, like attacking the New Testament, banging on our book, or trying to discredit Jesus, anything like that is secondary. That's the second thing you're supposed to be trying to do. Just like the second thing we are supposed to be trying to do is attack anybody that goes against the Mashiach. But our first objective is to teach people about Jesus and what he wants us as believers to do. That's our first objective, not to attack other belief systems. They're not saying you can't do it. They're not saying we never have done it. They're not saying we'll never do it again.
Right.
But the first objective is to teach this. But notice that when I ask a Messianic to do the same exact thing that I asked the not only Hebrews to do, he got it right. Because unlike these to not only, he's not pretending like he don't understand the challenge, or that the challenge is absurd, or that it's a bad idea, or trying to come up with a class and try to slither off of the challenge. You know, a class titled, why I reject the Tanakh only challenge. So I want y'all to bear witness that a Messianic was the first person to correctly answer something I initially aimed at y'all. So what I'm trying to figure out is, and maybe that R2 and DA are doing this lesson, maybe they can answer this question for me. What I'm trying to figure out, I'll ask you first, Robert, what do you think is so hard about this challenge for them? Please, I would like to hear from you. Can you answer that for me, please?
Actually, I got to be honest with you. I don't think it's hard at all. That's why I was shocked that nobody stepped up. I thought it was easy. I thought you know, in baseball when they say, you just put it right over the plate. I thought the challenge, you put it right over the plate and they could just knock it out of the park. Like, man, Josh didn't say nothing. Check this out. And I thought it'd be lined up. I thought they'd call Sal like, please. That's what I do. I'm Tanakh only. Of course I can teach a lesson out of Tanakh. And crickets. Nothing.
Okay, let me ask you this. And I'm kind of asking you this on behalf of Imuna and Mayama. They didn't ask me to do this, but I'm kind of doing it on their behalf anyway. Was there anything hard about the instructions or the rules or the stipulation of this challenge, brother?
It didn't seem hard at all. As a matter of fact, when I talked to you, I was talking for clarity. And that's why at the beginning of this lesson, I just said, this is what I understand the challenge to, and that's why I mentioned you just in case you were listening. I didn't know for sure if you were or not, but I said, okay, if I'm wrong, please, on the air, you can tell me, nope, Robert, that's not what I want, that's not it, or whatever, I got it all wrong. But that's why I let everybody know this is what I understand the challenge to be. Teach something out of the Tanakh, okay, nothing to do with the New Testament, no New Testament references or scriptures, don't talk about the Messiah, and don't bang on, other Messianics or anybody else's belief. That's what I said. So to answer your question, no, I did not think it was hard.
Well, let me ask you this. Being that Tanakh only Hebrews claim that their main objective is for us as Messianics to learn and focus more on the Tanakh and just pretty much put down the New Testament. My question to you is, why do you think they would have a problem with a challenge that I put out there that basically requires all Messianics who take this challenge to do exactly that, what they've been claiming they want to see us do? Why do you think they would have a problem with us doing something that they claim we need to do and giving them exactly that? Why do you think they would have a problem with doing that?
You know what? I think, and it's just my opinion, I think that it goes back to when I said there's a difference from being Tanakh only and being anti-New Testament. And for those who cannot do a challenge of, okay, you're Tanakh only, then teach from the Tanakh only. If you can't do that, then to me, you're not Tanakh only. To me, you're anti-New Testament. And that's an agenda. But that, that's just my, perspective on that.
Okay, here's another question for you then. Why do you think that Davon Mays has taken it upon himself to do a class on why he rejects what to me, and apparently to you and the A, to be a very simple challenge / request? Why do you think Davon Mays is trying to launch a campaign to reject this challenge and maybe, because I haven't heard his class yet, and maybe even discourage other Tanakh only believers from doing so? Why do you think he's trying to reject this simple request? Why do you think he's trying to do it?
I actually think that's ridiculous because if you stand by the fact that, hey, you know what, I'm Tanakh only, I teach from the Tanakh only, and you have supporters, you have believers, in other words, you have followers. Like, for instance, you have, a ministry with ADT and people actually follow you. It's your job to teach. So if he has people who are following him and listening to him, I mean, he says he writes books and all this other stuff, it makes how can you stand before your followers and basically say, nope, I'm not going to teach? Because the challenge is to teach a lesson. That's the challenge. That's the I dare you. The I dare you is I dare you to teach a Tanakh only lesson. That's it. Don't talk about New Testament. Don't talk about Mashiach. Don't talk about any of that. Just teach a lesson. So it has me scratching my head as to why someone. I'm talking about something in your wheelhouse. You're asking for something in your wheelhouse. You're saying, okay, it's like if I say, hey, Josh, teach a Bible lesson. I dare you to teach a Bible lesson. Don't come outside the scriptures whatsoever. You can just teach from the Bible. That's laughable at this point. You'd be like, yeah, I do that all the time. No problem. So to answer your question as to why somebody would reject the challenge, I can't think of a reason why someone will reject something that you should already be doing.
Okay, this question is for BA. BA, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, bro. I'm here.
Okay, this question is for you. How many times have you been on the phone with any Tanakh only Hebrew or on social media, and they claim that they want to deal with us? How many times have you heard that from one of them?
Quite a few times.
Quite a few times. Okay, and I can agree with that. So let me ask you this then, BA. If that is true that they're giving us, if they really want to build with us, then can you explain to me why, if they trying to tell us we need to be in the Tanakh, we need to be focused on these laws, statutes, and commandments, we need to be pushing Torah. If that is true and they really want to build with us, and we're meeting them on their turf and saying, okay, we're going to just focus on Tanakh-based lessons. If they really wanted to build with us, can you explain to me in your own words why Davon Mays is trying to launch a campaign to reject something that if they were truly trying to build with us, would only bring us together? Why are you rejecting that? In your words, can you explain it to me?
You know, let me just speak overall. When I hear your question, it's like when a person says, oh, well, you get on someone's level and say, look, I just want to get on your level, brother, and I just want to get on the Tanakh. Let's just stay in the law and the prophets. And then you have an individual that is hell-bent on not doing that and being anti-this or anti-that. I'm at a loss for words. I can't really, because we're now all of a sudden we're saying, okay, we're going to meet you guys halfway now. Let's come over here and let's deal with Tanakh only. I mean, that's all we want to hear that. And then we always hear, well, I study the Torah, I study this, I do that. Okay, well, show us. I mean, if you're the expert, according to their view, if you are so nice in the Torah or in the prophets, okay, then show me how to read it. Show me how to apply the law. Show me how to apply the writings of Moses and Isaiah and Ezekiel and the various other individuals. Show me, because anyone can talk, but what counts is when you can go into the text and maneuver and show me how. Actions speak louder than words, and that's also in the Tanakh. So that's how I would look at that.
Exactly. And this question is for both of y'all. And this is going back to Mariana and Moon, because for some reason the Tanakh only Hebrews who support her and defend her, them try to act like that they had to do, or it was okay for them to do and accept the challenge the way they did, even though when both of them called in on Volume 2 of my show, and I countered and questioned them, neither one of them could honestly say, yes, we did everything. So let me ask you a question, Robert, and you, DA. Even though I'm the one who issued the challenge, and of course I understand you haven't mentioned my name, just to let people know this is in response to something God put out. This is the question. At any point in the lesson, did you feel compelled to make it about me and to mention my name every other chance you got? At any point in the lesson, did you feel compelled to do that?
Absolutely not. I only mentioned it. I just mentioned it at the beginning to let everyone know what I'm talking about and why I'm doing it. But after that, I didn't mention your name at all.
Okay. Did you feel like you had to go into great detail about the things I was saying when I first put the Tanakh only challenge out that don't really have anything to do with the challenge in of itself? There's me just going on about why I put the challenge out. maybe you didn't like my approach. Maybe you didn't like the way I put out the challenge. Did you feel like any of that was necessary to dwell on other than just accepting the challenge itself?
No, I didn't feel compelled to go on anything else. I just listened to what the rules were, what were the guidelines, the criteria for the challenge, and I just asked myself if I can do it. Okay, and I sat back. I just sat back to see if anybody else was going to take it, and no one else took it. And I didn't see the peer review as accepting the challenge.
Okay, this is my final question, and I'm asking both of you. Being that from what I just said about the challenge, that y'all passed it, and it's not like putting down any Tanakh on the Hebrew, but I think it's a fairly simple challenge. Mm-hmm. I think any one of them, if they really wanted to, take it past this challenge. It's not like, only Messianics can do it, it's not only can't. No, that's not what I'm getting at. But being that you understood the rules, and you and BA did exactly what I asked, it's not complicated, what do you think when it comes to Imuna and Mayana? Did they or did they not pass the Tanakh only challenge based on the stipulations and outlines that I gave? Did they pass?
Okay, go ahead, BA. I'll let you go first.
Based on how I understand it, they failed, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they posted that the challenge was accepted. Mm-hmm. They accepted the challenge. You know what I'm saying? That's what, because I remember seeing a post. And if anyone, and I'm not, like I said, I'm just keeping it real here. Based on from what I saw a post saying challenge accepted. And what we saw that following day or whichever, the day after they posted it, I can't remember if it was, all I can tell you is I noticed a posting saying challenge accepted. And after that, I was expecting to hear a lesson. I wasn't expecting to hear what I heard.
I have to echo what the brother said. After I heard your initial challenge and understood the rules, I was waiting for someone to accept it. Then I heard, I saw their advertisement for their promotion for it, and I went ahead and clicked on it on YouTube, and I was listening. And I was waiting. I was expecting a lesson. I was waiting for a lesson. I was 20 minutes in. I was 30 minutes in. I was an hour in. I was an hour and a half in, and just no lesson came. I was like, what is going on? I was thinking because I had, like I said, I had the rules in my head. And while I was listening to their show, I was like, there's no way these guys met that. How did they meet the challenge? I'm looking for a lesson, a topic, a lesson. And it was mainly about you. So I didn't get it. So in my opinion, they failed. No, it failed miserably because there was no lesson. The point was to make a lesson.
Okay.
Don't reference a messianic. Okay. And the last time I checked, Josh, you're a messianic.
Okay.
So
y'all was going in and out on my end a little bit, but I heard like the gist of what y'all said. I'm sorry about it. I'm listening through with anonymous Hebrew because Metro PCS want to decide when you can and can't call me to debate talk to you. Sometimes it lets you, sometimes it doesn't. This is one of those judgment times. I just wanted to end it with this. My call was this. What I ask these brothers to do is not hard, not confusing, it's not complicated. Do a class, not a peer review, not a podcast, not a personal assessment of Brother Josh and why he put out the challenge, not a discussion on what you think of the challenge. Just come on here and do exactly what Robert Reed did, and that is teach a lesson out of the Tanakh without attacking Messianic, the New Testament, or Jesus. Not even bring them up. Don't even mention them. Just do a lesson. And the fact that, as of now, except for one brother, right, one brother, and we're going to reveal who that is when he takes the challenge. He's a Tanakh only. Nobody from the Tanakh only community is that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we lost Josh. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm here. I think we lost him.
Yeah, you can pick it up though.
But he got his. Yeah, he got his last win.
He did. Yeah. One guy. Yeah, you know what? Hold on. Here you go. I'm going to bring him right back in. Hold on.
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up yourself, Anonymous.
All right, we got him back, fellas. Go ahead.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead, Josh.
As I was saying, nobody is stepping up to do this, and I don't understand why we asking Tanakh only Hebrews to do a lesson. This lesson was beautiful, by the way. Civil disobedience. Strictly from the Tanakh, and I consider the Apocrypha to be neutral territory, so I don't see them having any problem with that. And even if they try to penalize you for that, for going to the Apocrypha robbery, then you can let them have that, and yet the rest of your class still hold firm. So I don't see why they're trying to make y'all think that Brother Josh is being egotistical or maniacal or sadistic for simply asking people who profess a certain belief system.
Or gaslighting. I just wanted to put that.
Or gaslighting, or gaslighting. Or asking the people who represent a specific belief system to teach us about that. But the final thought I want to leave you, the debate talk for audience with, is this is how I know that all of these Tanakh onlys who come on this show, I said the ones that come on this show, that we qualify that, who have been beefing with us, spitting on our classes, telling people that they're going to keep on banging on our book no matter what. This is how I know these people are not really interested in, quote, unquote, building with us. This is how I know this. Because if they were, like Robert Reed said, they would have been lined up to take this challenge. The fact that only one person has accepted this challenge from the not only community shows a lot to speak volumes. It lets you know that these people don't really care about us. They don't really want to. They don't really want to introduce us to Tanakh. They just want to strip us of what we believe. Because if any one of them came to me right now and said, "Josh, I want to put out a New Testament challenge. Do a lesson without going to the Tanakh." Come on, y'all. I can do that in my sleep.
Boy.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all. That's easy. So they're not going to challenge me to do that. And if any one of them came to me and said, "Well, Josh, do a Tanakh only lesson," again, in my sleep. As Robert Reed and B.A. basically did. These people do not want to build with us. I'm talking to the debate talk for you audience now. They don't like us. They only want to embarrass us and make us look stupid. That's the only reason why they are here. Again, I'm talking to the ones who beat with us. That's why every time you turn around, let's have a trial. Let's put the Messiah on trial. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then turn around, let's deal. No. The games are over. The Yvonne lady, without no disrespect to you, because to me, and I'm saying this in all truth, you are the realest of them all when it comes to this specific challenge, because at least you let us know where you stand. No, bro. I'm not going to accept the challenge. But you know what? It also tells us a lot about you. It tells me a lot. It speaks volumes when I simply ask a brother to teach me, because if you're going to tell me I need to put down the New Testament, if you're going to tell anybody they need to abandon their belief system for yours, the first thing you need to be ready to do is to teach your belief system.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the first thing. Go back and read with the Israelites. When they first came up out of Egypt, when they got to the wilderness, I don't say they knew before then, for the most part, was Egyptian paganism. That's why they made the golden calf. That's all they knew. What's the first thing Moses did once he got them all nice and settled out of Egypt? Okay, time for some laws, y'all. Time for some rules. This is how you serve your God. He was giving them literal sermons and lessons in the wilderness. That's what he was really doing. He didn't come in there banging on Kemet, banging on Egypt. Well, Egypt is pagan. Egypt got idols, yada, 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 yada. No, he threw that in there, but he first taught them, okay, this is the Most High God. This is Yah. You should have any other gods before him. You shouldn't make graven images. You shouldn't bow down to graven images. You should honor your mother and your father. You should keep Shabbat. You should not lie on one another. You should not steal from one another. He's giving them rules of life. He didn't spend 40 years in the wilderness just banging on killing or banging on Egypt. So it speaks volume when I hear a brother who says, I'm not only, and the challenge is simply, teach me. We know that they thought the ordinance. That essentially, all Brother Josh is asking them to do is teach me. Teach me then, brother. You say you not only, before I put down anything, teach me that you know what you're trying to tell me. Nigga, I need proof that you know this book before you ask me to follow you. What's wrong with that? Who buys a car from a car lot and don't test drive it?
Mm-hmm.
Who goes to a restaurant for the first time and they ain't never tasted something and they offer free samples and you're like, nah, I don't want to taste it, even though I got the option to check it out before I buy it and see if I don't like it. I don't want to taste it, just put it on the plate, serve it up. Nobody does that. But I'm looking at crazy, belligerent, out of control. These are all these labels that Imuna and Mayana put on me because I just asked them to teach a lesson, and they took what I asked, perverted it, distorted it, and turned it into something that was hardly recognizable compared to what I put out. Mm-hmm. And the Tanakh only community hated me for exposing that. They try to make it seem like I'm a woman hater. I can't stand women. He has a problem with women. But I'm just letting y'all know I'm done with that. I'm not going to bring them up anymore. The only why I brought them up is to just show them if they just happen to be listening. This is what I was after. While we read and Brother B.A. did, this is what I was after. This is all I wanted to see, something like this. But unfortunately, once again, I got to go to the Messianic when I want it done right. That's it. Good job, guys.
Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Praise God. Go ahead, Brother B.A. Ooh, man. Praise God.
Much love to you, Josh. It's always good to hear the older brother in the faith. Like I said, I don't have much to say. We are much the elders, we slow to speak. So I'm just sitting up here soaking it up like a sponge. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, absolutely. Hey, Brother Josh, you're one of my peers, man, and I appreciate you actually coming on the show or whatever. And I think you were needed right there at the end because, again, I was going over the rules and everything, and what better, than to have it come from the horse's mouth, so to speak. What better than the person who issued the challenge to step up and say, yep, that's what I was looking for, or no, you were wrong. So I do appreciate you, bless you and your household, but I do appreciate you coming on the show and, just clarifying for the people, exactly what you're looking for. They heard it from me, but hey, get it right from the horse's mouth. They say, look, this is what I was looking for. And so that means a lot right there, man. So, I really appreciate it. But as far as the lesson, that is the entire lesson. So I don't know, Sal, if you want to, close it out. Hey, we're ready to go. I'm just happy to step in.
Can I say something real quick?
Bless the people. Yeah, absolutely, B.A. Go ahead.
No, it's anonymous. It's anonymous.
Oh, anonymous. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's cool. Everybody be mistaking me and B.A. anyway. I'll say first off, thank you for doing this, Brother Reed. Like I know we laugh and stuff like this, but there's also a real spiritual aspect to this where our souls get fed. And it was incredible to see you come on and accept the challenge and do it. So I just want to ask you one quick question. How long did it take you to accept the challenge?
Oh, man.
You remember that? Do you remember that?
Yeah, about a minute and a half. About 90 seconds.
So I'm going to put this out to those that come after this, right? This thing is not that complicated. It's not that difficult. Brother Reed, unbeknownst to himself, he knew I was on the phone. We were all on the phone. I just started a timer just to see how long it would take the brother to accept the challenge. He came in, he asked a couple quick questions, and he said what he had to say, and I said, are you finished? You got it? You got it? Yeah, he said, yeah, I got it. It was literally like a minute and a half. To me, that speaks volumes to how simple this is if you really deal with the Tanakh. That's number one. The other point that I just wanted to make really brief was, I haven't publicly just beat my ABT shield simply because I know I have a lot of detractors, and I try my best to protect my teacher and my brothers at ABT. But yes, Brother Josh is my teacher, and I do appreciate him for everything that he's done in my life. Even when times when I may not have liked something that he said and I got mad or whatever, him being a gracious brother, like, let me get mad and brought me back and sat me down and taught me more. You know what I mean? That's what a leader does. That's what a teacher does. So I've heard some brothers attacking, saying certain things. Yes, that is my teacher. Yes, that is my leader. I do consider him a brother and a teacher. So we can stop playing games with that. This Tanakh only challenge is not about separating or making people look bad. It is about, number one, getting Tanakh out, showing that we all adhere to the Tanakh, but also showing that those that claim to be, quote unquote, Torah only or Tanakh only are not really concerned with feeding us. And I can say that wholeheartedly now. Right? I can say that wholeheartedly now. Right? I've been involved with Debate Talk for You behind the scenes listening for a very long time. But now just on the shows, being here, I'm coming up on a year, solid, consistently been involved with the conference calls and all of the stuff that's behind the scenes. And Sal and BA will tell you it's a lot. Like if anybody's ever been involved with setting up a debate or a show, imagine that times 10 because we're doing that multiple times a day, right? So this was easy, and it should have been easy. And the fact that it's turned into all of this craziness, to me, speaks volumes, right? Once again, if I'm wrong, teach me. I've went to college. I've been in the military. I've done all these things. I've played multiple sports. Most of us are very good with coaching. We're very good with being taught. So if there was something that you were going to teach us and get us out of being wrong, why wouldn't you do it? Here's your perfect opportunity. Yeah. Teach us. You know what I'm saying, Brother Reed? It's a perfect opportunity, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's what I was saying.
But instead it was used to cause internal strife. So to me, that's these volumes. So that's all I got to say. I think our elders and Brother Reed and Brother Josh have spoke volumes tonight. You know, Brother B.A., you my bro. We're going to talk tomorrow. Excellent job reading. And I just want to let y'all know that brother's been very humble. So it's a lot that I'm sure he wanted to add to the lesson where Brother Reed was getting it. So he let him bring it out. And that's what we should do when we have those that are senior, let them bring it out. Obviously, love to Sal, love to the brothers that brought the lesson, love to Brother Josh, Shabbat Shalom to the family. And I was fed, thoroughly fed. So, hallelujah, all praise to the Most High. Shabbat Shalom to the family.
Thank you, Brother Anonymous. Shalom, Brother Anonymous.
Yeah, much love
Thanks
to you,
for
bro.
the kind
Much
words.
love to you, bro.
Yeah. Blessing on you and your household. Hey, Brother B.A., did you want to say a little something? I want to give you the opportunity to share some words.
No, I would just say that from here on out, now that we had Josh lay a foundation and Brother Reed came on, now all of a sudden I'm anxious to hear the next brother. I mean, this is going to motivate me to either put some things together. And one thing I've noticed, I'll say about a year ago, I was asking a couple of individuals, just teach Tanakh, just teach Torah. Show me. If I'm in error, according to your view, show me how I'm in error. And I wasn't getting a response. And I remember me and Josh, we had spoke. This is right before Sal got sick, and me and Josh was talking about, because I was telling Josh I had been reading through the whole book of Isaiah, and I was reading through Ezekiel, just thoroughly line upon line, just reading. And I was like, I'm anxious. I'm going to see if I can put some things together just according to the prophets. And then Josh said he had been doing some things himself, and he was like, that's what he told me about the challenge. He told me about it right before Sal got sick, and the goal was to get it out before, but Sal ended up, unfortunately, Sal got sick, and we thank and we praise the Most High that he's doing better. So the goal was to get it out a lot earlier, but unfortunately, we know what happened. But he's good now. But now that I've had some time to do some more reading and a little bit of studying myself, I am motivated to jump into this. This is like competition, and not competition to where I'm against my brothers, but we're provoking each other to get better. We're provoking each other to go back and read the text and really, really get up in there. And I'm still looking forward to Torah only to get up in here and show me, okay, look, show me still. I'm waiting, but you know what? Until then, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to take it upon myself and the various others. I would love to hear other Messianics come out. This shows your skill. This right here, this Tanakh only challenge, this really shows how skilled you are when it comes to the word of the Most High God. So most definitely, I am looking forward to it. I can't wait to hear the next brother up. Most High willing, either be me or Anonymous. Right now, I'm still kind of going in between what topic I want to do. There are a couple of topics that I would like to hear expounded on. Since Brother Reed, you are an elder, I would love for you to touch on idolatry, according to Moses and the prophets. You know what I'm saying? Because that was a topic that I had been looking at, and I was like, you know what, I want to hear an elder do that one because I'm still learning. So I will most definitely would like to hear a brother of wisdom and understanding who I believe the Most High is really shining on. I want to hear one of the older brothers to touch idolatry so I can sit back and be a student like I am and watch and observe and listen and see why that this word idolatry is being thrown around. I honestly am convinced that the word idolatry, there's a big misunderstanding of it. And I don't want to go any further because we know why that word is thrown out so much. But the point is that I will most definitely want to hear what did Moses see as idolatry? What did Elijah see as idolatry? What did the various other prophets understand idolatry to be? So I most definitely, like I said, I deal with a lot of political type stuff and a lot of social activity. So I'm most definitely putting together some things myself because I like to deal with the prophets and how they like to get socially active and provoke the people to righteousness and to stand firm and to live righteous. So that's where I'm going to go. That's my direction, and the Most High will, and I can go deeper than that. But I am motivated. If you're listening, rather you be Torah only or Messianic, please. Let's get it. Let's have fun with this. Let's not make it so uptight. Let's make this interesting for all of us who claim to be Bible readers and Bible studiers. Let's get in here. Let's have fun with this, and let's get back to building. And I'm done.
Amen. All right, man. So yeah, and you know what? I don't have a whole lot to add. I just want the I want the Tanakh only listeners. I'm not necessarily talking about the teacher, but just the Tanakh only listeners out there who, they have a leaning towards the Tanakh. I want you guys to understand that we're not trying to divide. We are actually trying to build with you. So we're putting together lessons that will not offend you. You don't know why? Because we're not bringing up the New Testament. And we're doing that in the interest of actually building with you. Now, obviously, Josh, he is, basically I agree with what he said. He kind of exposing the fact that if someone who claims to be a teacher of Tanakh only, why would they not want to teach you? Okay, so that's the question you need to ask yourself. If you're going to follow someone who's Tanakh only, then why would they not want to teach you? Why would they not? So you can still come to Debate Talk for You, and you want some Tanakh only lessons or whatever, hey, there will be some Tanakh only lessons. We'll even title them lessons. It'll be Tanakh only so that you can go and still get fed just like any other Messianic. Okay, you will still get fed Tanakh only because we are supposed to feed you with knowledge and understanding. So I don't care if you say that you are Tanakh only, fine, I'll give you a Tanakh lesson to feed you. Okay, that's fine. Okay, but I'll do both. But for right now, let's go ahead and build up the archives and put some Tanakh only lessons in there. That way, nobody has any excuses as to why they cannot get into this word. And I agree with Brother B.A. when he says, this is an opportunity for us to build. This is an opportunity for us to grow and increase our knowledge and understanding. The Tanakh. We have no problem with that. Okay, we have no problem. Messianics have no problem with getting into the Old Testament, getting into the Law and the Prophets. We have no issue with that whatsoever. And since we say we don't have an issue with that, then we're going to also prove it by actually teaching lessons out of the Law and the Prophets. It's plain and simple. So with that, hey, I don't think the challenge is hard whatsoever. It was more like a test to see who's going to step up and do it. Because it's been obvious that it can be done, but who's willing to do it? That's the difference. All right, with that, I have nothing more to say. I just wish all you guys peace and shalom. I hope somebody's been edified by the lesson. This has been the Tanakh Only Challenge Accepted. Civil